I always judge a Red Sox team whether or not they're going to be a good team. And I feel like it's come to fruition almost every year that I look at this, is that I call it the comeback DNA. And when I see like those Red Sox team in 2021, when I know 2018, 2013, 7-4, some other good years we had too. The ways that I knew that this team was a good team that was going to be one of the top teams in baseball is if they came back down 3 runs, down 4 runs, go into the 7th inning, crawl their way back, win the game. That's always how I've judged good Red Sox teams. Do they have that comeback DNA? Is this a team that that they are going to fight the whole way through and have a shot to win and win games? I think of the Baltimore game for them was the Mother's Day Miracle, whatever that was, or the Patriots Day Miracle. I remember watching that game too. They're down like 11 runs and they found their way to come back. And I think they made it either to they made the World Series that year. Anyways, this team is 0 for 28 when trailing by 3+ runs in a game, and I think up to 0-36 or 0-38 when trailing after the 8th inning. It's a team that can't come back. They've got no fight in them to come back.
60-40, a Red Sox podcast. Big John and Sean, hot takes, special guests. This is 60-40. Hey.
After 3 long weeks, Sean, finally, we make it back to the. We are the most electrifying podcast in Red Sox history. I am your co-host, Big John. Alongside of me is Sean Michaels, Sweet Chin Music Jones, and together we are 64 Deep, a Red Sox podcast. Sean, how you been? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. A lot's
I'm good.
happened. A lot hasn't happened.
I know. Feels like a lot of the same in terms of the Red Sox, but no, I've been pretty good. Yeah, we were just talking off air. I had a busy past couple of weeks with travel and was sick last week, so it's been crazy for us trying to get back on. But here we are, and I'm happy to be back. It's definitely been too long. We'll have to cut down that in between time for the next one.
I guess so. It's also been one of the roughest Red Sox seasons I've ever been a part of. We talked about it. We talked about it a few weeks ago during one of their swoons and made the point, like, what's worse than being a Red Sox fan that is visibly pissed off at your team, and that's being a Red Sox fan that's apathetic.
Yeah.
And we're like trending that way. Like the season's.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we were going to record this episode 2 or 3 days ago after the Red Sox had taken 2 out of 3, or we were actually going to record the episode when they were up 2-0 on the Rangers. They ended up losing the rubber match on that one. They lose the Toronto series. So the question was going to be, is this a Red Sox team that in a very weak AL American League has a shot at making the wild card? Are they buyers or sellers? They get, again, their asses kicked last night at 6-1. They lose. They lose to the Rangers. They just look terrible. They're sellers, right, Sean? They got to be sellers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting here saying they're sellers because they're only 5.5 out of the wild card. I'm saying they're sellers because I've watched them play baseball and they're not very good.
They're not good. They're not. This is a team that even if they got hot, there's just no way this team could win a series or be an actual contender. When you look at what contender. When you look at the Brewers and watch the Brewers play and look at their roster, I mean, the Yankees lost Judge and they don't miss a beat. You look at the teams that are actually contenders and you compare them to the Red Sox, it's night and day. It's night and day. I mean, you're right. They're 5 games out, but Sean, they also had the least tied for the second least amount of wins in all of baseball. Behind Rockies are the worst and they're second to worst. So
that's true. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Rockies have the least amount of wins. Red Sox have the second least. They're tied, second least amount of wins. So that's how bad this team is. And like I said, Sean, can you remember a time we had 2020? Was it 20? No, 2000. When were they really bad?
2020 was that was the COVID year, so it was only 60 games, but they were just awful that year. I mean, that was just like they traded Betts and then Cora's out because of the whole, scandal thing there. Yep. And it was a very bad transition year. But it was only 60 games, so it didn't feel quite as painful as the 162 we're gonna have to sit through for this one. So
I think you're right. I think that's the bigger problem. Like 2020, I remember it. So I remember 21. 21 was the first year I had season tickets, and that was an awesome season. My dad passed away that year, and so I need some like level of to feel normal again, normalizing after COVID. So me and my buddy bought season tickets, which going to games in 2021 was awesome because there was no one there. And for the first early games, they're only letting 10% of the people in, which is an amazing experience for a Major League Baseball game to be a part of. And that's the year they lost the Astros in the ALCS. They had that great series against the Yankees. And the wild card beat Cold, and they went to beat the Rays, and they ended up losing against the Astros, but really cool year. Anyways, I can't remember a season, and I'm older than you, and I've seen some pretty bad Red Sox seasons, not many, because for most part, Red Sox were good for most of my life. They're a top tier team. I can't remember a team where I've hated a Red Sox team more than this team.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. I mean, I was just looking down there, last 20 years or so. They really only have 2 seasons where they were worse than 6 games below 500 if we exclude 2020. And it was 2014 and 2012, which 2014 is probably a little more palatable because we were coming off a World Series, and that also they finished 20 below that year, but it was more of a like they were kind of mediocre and then fizzled down the stretch, whereas like they've just been terrible off the bat this year. 2012 was obviously a pretty tumultuous season. I believe that was the year where they traded like Adrian Gonzalez and Beckett and everybody mid-year, and they totally pivoted. But again, they won a World Series the next year, which I'm not feeling confident about that for for next season. So
you know why those were different, Sean? To be really honest with you, and I don't know how far you can look back. My first year following the Red, like I said, I'm older than you. I was little. I was 5, 6 years old. 1990 was my first year, which I barely remember because I wasn't a diehard. But actually, by 1992 was my first real year following the Red Sox. They finished in last place that year. But again, it was my first real year in baseball. So if you went back to 1992, I would say that streak of like, for the most of my life, they've been a team that's been above 500. But going back to those 2 years, we were a team that had won, 3 World Series in however many years. This was a team that we thought was a competent front office, that they were allowed to get it wrong because they were going to get it right, and we saw them get it right multiple times. They spent money. They went out there and got the best players. Even to your point that Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez, that wasn't a year where they didn't spend money. They gave those guys the bag, and those were considered some of the best players on the free agent market. And so they just made a mistake, and they were able to spend their way out of it or figure it out, and they were able to come back again. This is a Red Sox team where we're like, what are you doing? Like, when are you going to make a move year after year? Your payroll gets less, but don't get that twisted. For those people knocking the Red Sox for their payroll, they're still the 8th highest payroll. They're still a payroll that should be competitive. Like, you should not be having the second worst win record in all of baseball with the 8th highest payroll. It's a misspending of that. And so we have no faith, right? Right, Sean, you've got no faith this team can turn around, this front office can turn around next year, 2028, 2029. Like, there's no faith of any future of a semblance that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's the bleakest part of it is it's like, like you mentioned, those other seasons, we were like, well, they'll pivot, or they still had like really good players, or at least like guys they could point to that were up and coming. Like right now, even like the supposed core, like who even is the core right now? Like obviously you still want to say Crochet and Roman Anthony, which obviously those guys have been injured. So like a little unfair to like, be too negative about the seasons they've had, even though both of them have been very bad in the small sample size they have played. But like Marcelo Meyer, you start to look up at the stats, and I'm like, they're not that much better than Caleb Durbin after all the crap we've given him. I mean, he's arguably been as bad. Like Durbin's got a higher WAR, which I know is not a perfect stat, but I'm just saying like he's a sub 600 OPS right now, 220 batting average, 3 homers, like that. Those are abysmal. That's like a worst case scenario for him. He looks like, he's got about 1 more year before we start to be like, man, he's probably just a bust. Which I hate to say that, and it still is early, but like there's just been no flashes even. And then you look at Christian Campbell, give him the big contract. It has been a tough watch down for him in AAA. And I don't know when or if that's getting turned around either. So all these guys, these top 10 prospects, the young core, blah, blah, blah. It's like suddenly we look up a year and a half later and it's like, man, it's like, who do we even really have to feel good about to build the future around? And that's like, if we do sell, it's like this roster could suddenly be one of the worst in all of baseball, even just from a talent perspective.
We said it in the offseason. Our concern around Marcelo Meyer was being able to hit lefties, and we said if he becomes a platoon bat, then he will be a bust. I mean, to your point, the way he's playing right now, he's not an everyday starter, and that will make him a bust. The Christian Campbell one was a player I never felt confident about because I kind of felt that his breakout year was smoke and mirrors because what they did was they just tweaked his swing a little bit. I oversimplify it, but it wasn't a guy that had raw talent and tools coming out of college to pros. He wasn't a high draft pick, good player, but never expected to do much. And he kind of for 1 year was overachieved. I was okay. I don't know how you feel. I'm really curious how you feel about this one. I was okay if Marcelo ended up becoming a bust and if Christian Campbell was a bust, as long as Roman Anthony was going to be the generational talent that Roman Anthony we expected him to do. 1 out of 3 would be great because most time prospects miss. He's going to hit on one of them. I'm worried with Roman, and we'll get to it in the show, but I'm really worried that his history of injuries at such a young age is something we need to be concerned of. I'll jump into now. We'll drink beers, but Sean, when does he get that injury prone label? First of all, and like, are you concerned? I mean, he was not performing up to snuff prior to the, while he was playing. So is he an injury prone and like, do you see him turning it around?
Yeah. I mean, it's still so early and he's so young for like the label and like, I mean, we can call him injury prone or whatever, but it's like, I was more concerned with how he looked on the field, to be honest with you, than the injury itself. Cause I'm like, all the things that we have like lauded him for as this like great approach at the plate and, patient, great bat speed. We thought he's going to be like a 30 home run guy, like the power bat that we have needed in the lineup. Like none of that we didn't see any of that. Like he looked bad, like in pretty much all facets. He was chasing, he was not swinging things in the zone. He, the arm stuff got a little better, but he couldn't get it to home plate in less than 3 bounces. Like that was the stuff that was really concerning to me more than the injury. But obviously the guy's got to work through it, and the only way to do that is to be on the field. So I would expect him to come back at some point this year, but obviously it's turned into a pretty long-term injury at this point. So we'll see. I mean, if he can put together a last couple good months of the season and then go into next year and be fine, then sure. But like, yeah, I mean, it becomes similar to the Marcelo thing that we've talked about for a while now. Like he hadn't played 100 games professionally in his career, and how many years in Major League Baseball or just in their organization overall can you go and not hit that number before we start to have those concerns? So I think it's fair, but it didn't inspire much when he was playing either.
But what is your criteria, Sean, like to be injury prone? Do you have criteria for it? Like what would you need to, what needs to happen for you to label a guy as injury prone?
I mean, I probably wouldn't jump to there until we get to next year. Just because last season he only got called up mid-year anyway. So I'm not really going to put like all this stake into, a half season that even if he was healthy, he still wasn't going to hit 100 games or anything like that. And then this year I'm willing to put as a throwaway year potentially because the team sucks anyway. So I bet you they're honestly not rushing him back by any means. But yeah, I would say next year, if he can't play like 130 plus, then I'm definitely start to get concerned. So I mean, 130 is kind of the threshold for me where I'm like, you had a pretty healthy year. If you're under that and you're in the 120s or lower, then I start to be like, all right, you're pretty consistently missing good chunks of season. So at least that's like the game cutoff. But yeah, I mean, if you're not getting even 100 or something like that, then we got bigger problems.
I agree with you on next year. Let me 1 more year. I'll tell you what concerns me about Roman is the injuries that he's coming up with are not fluke injuries. And what I mean by that is you
Mhm.
cut your hand like some of those guys in the bat in the we've
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
before. Like you
Get hit
fell
by
off
a
your bike.
pitch, like
Yeah, right. You hit it by a pitch, you rode your motorcycle and got into a car accident, you stepped out of the shower wrong and like you slipped on the glass, so that you slipped on the mat and you fell, right? Or even like hamstring, which are interesting injuries too. I don't blame hamstrings on injury prone. Back issues worry me a lot, which he had last year, and those can be lingering. And once you have a back injury, we wish we can get a orthopedist on here to talk through it. But once you have a back injury, they are things that consistently can happen. Especially, I actually can teach a little bit about this. Your vertebrae goes up and down like this, right? And it actually can take a lot of pressure vertically. But you twist a wrong way, you can easily take a disc and move a disc out of place, which the herniated disc that you can get. And some of those issues are they are what's the word I'm looking for? They can persist for a very long time. So that's
yeah.
my worry about back problem. And then we heard the whole issue with his finger, right? And they had I forget who it was, Boston Globe or someone was talking about how rare, he'd never heard before, a UCL injury, a ligament on your finger, how rare that is. And they have no timetables. These are really weird injuries for your body to go through that I'm just
Mhm.
concerned maybe Roman does not have the ability to withstand the rigors of a long
Yeah.
season because his body just can't do it.
It's fair. He's so young though, so I'll give him another year and a little more time. Like I think if like I hear you, the other side of that coin is like, well, if he's so young, shouldn't he be able to be more healthy more easily? It's only going to get worse with age. But I don't know. There are examples of guys who struggled with injuries earlier in their career and then end up coming around and putting together solid careers still. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get the answer this season though.
All right. Do you want to drink some beers?
Yeah, let's do it.
Drinking beers, drinking beers, drink some beers, drink a beer, drink John and Sean. We're drinking beers, drink some beers, drink a beer, drinking beers, Sean and Sean.
Sean, I have no beer today. I'm sorry. I had to run home from work. Wasn't able to grab a beer. I'm drinking Bartles and James. You know what Bartles and James is?
I do not.
I'm not drinking Bartles and James. Bartles and James before my time. In the 80s, it was like a wine cooler type thing, which,
Okay.
do you know what a wine cooler is?
I mean, I was assuming chilled wine, but I don't.
No. No. It's
I
not,
don't know that.
I don't think it's chill. It's a very, look, you're going to probably hear me typing, but I got to find a way to define wine cooler. I can't believe you don't know what a wine cooler is. They were not masculine things to drink. And a man, I remember being a kid, like your parents would have drank wine coolers. If I type in wine coolers, it actually comes up like beer fridges. But
Yeah,
like
soon the same.
a man would not be drinking a wine cooler. Seagrams, I guess, is a wine. Like you can see them; they're pink drinks. Again,
I do see those. Yeah,
let me see if I can find a definition.
like a
Someone
twisted tea alternative or something.
Someone on Reddit said, "What the hell is a wine cooler?" As a British person, if someone asked me for a wine cooler, they get an ice bucket for a bottle of white. A cheap beverage with low alcohol, usually with lots of sugar. Some companies sell them because you can advertise wine coolers but no real alcohol. Yeah, they
interesting.
are.
I mean, it
an
looks like any
alcoholic drink for
the
alcoholic
spiked
drink for moms.
seltzers, which are quite popular these days.
But spiked seltzers are different. I feel like I could drink a spiked seltzer and feel.
I like seltzers.
I do too. There's the vodka and tea ones that I love. The White Claws are good. I'm with you on that one. I
Yeah,
could drink
like High
seltzers too.
Noons.
Yeah, High Noons are very good. But the wine coolers, no, men do not drink wine coolers.
That's interesting.
At
I've
all.
never heard that term, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you gotta ask your dad about it. Ask your family about the
Yeah.
wine coolers. They're big in the early 90s, but again, they're mostly for women. Men didn't drink them. I feel like people who drink wine coolers probably also think war is a good stat. That's how I put them two together. Which, by the way, I gotta double check it. One thing I love about the Red Sox, I want to know about your beer, but when I checked a couple days ago, they were 20th in team WAR, and again, as we said, second lowest in wins. So
Yeah.
I'm loving how it's showcasing that the emphasis that WAR puts on defense, and we all just accept it to be truth and fact. I've always thought it was a flawed stat. And I think you're seeing it because it's not translating, wins are not translating to the WAR. because defense, they've overvalued defense, whether it's Fangraphs doing it in F4 or WAR.
Hmm.
I do think it's not a perfect science. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it's not a perfect science. So quit tweeting WAR at me because WAR does not translate to actual wins. It doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And the Red Sox are showing to you right now that it doesn't. What do you guys to drink?
I can't remember if I don't think I did this one before. It's called All Right, My Friend, Let Us Begin Again. It's a
Deep Sean.
burial. I know.
Oh.
Well, they love their sort of existential names for all their beers.
Who is it?
It's out of Asheville. I've definitely had a couple from them. It
Okay.
looks like it's a collaboration though with Coleman hops and Citra Ocust. I don't even know. That's like a kind of deceiving font. I can't even really tell what that says.
Is it? Hold on, put it back again. Let me say. Is it a cult? Is it OCCULT? It's a cult. Citra a cult. The cult.
Okay. Yeah. The C's. I couldn't tell if it was a C or L, but yeah. I haven't even had sip yet, but
Have you? But you've had this
I
beer
have
brand.
had this one. Yeah,
You know,
I had it. I think I've only had it once though. When my dad visited. I want to say a month ago. He came when we saw the 2 of the 3 Red Sox games here in Atlanta. That's what he came for, actually. They lost both the ones we saw. But he brought a few beers for me, and we did a little swap. He took some Georgia ones for me, brought me some North Carolina ones. So I've had one other one of these, but I have not. I don't think I've had it on the show yet, but it's solid.
You would know a lot better than I would. I would say, when craft beers were becoming mainstream, there was a lot of
Mhm.
collaborations that were being done. I don't,
Yeah.
unless I'm wrong, I feel like collaborations are not as big as they used to be. Is that accurate or no?
I feel like that's accurate. I also I've always been a little confused in general of like what does a collaboration even kind of mean? Like,
True.
are you providing like half of you providing half the ingredients, half providing the other? Like, I don't know enough about like actual brewing the beer where I'm like, is it like you took turns stirring or like you like
Like
bounce
the batter.
off each other? Yeah, bounce ideas off each other for like um the ingredient. Like, I don't know genuinely.
Does it
So,
tell you on there? Maybe does it say like maybe they mix the hops together? Does it tell you like what makes it a collab?
Well, it's interesting. It's a burial beer. Like it says brewed and canned by Burial, but then it says in collaboration with the other 2.
I wonder if they
Um,
help with like the recipe.
yeah, I don't know.
Like maybe
Says,
like maybe they use the burial factory to do it.
okay, here we go. Mashed with oats and extensively hopped with all Oregon grown, hand selected varietals from Coleman hops. So that's one of the other breweries. Whirlpooled with Timco, T90, and Cryo, double dry hops with 2 distinct lots of Coleman Citra. So I guess maybe Coleman has like a specific type of hops they use, and they borrowed
Okay.
that. So I don't know. That'd be my best guess based on what it says.
Well, you said it's good. That works. I'll
Yeah,
give it a
it is
shot.
good. Yeah.
All right, let's do a quick. I'm gonna do a record check really quick. We did it earlier, so I'll fly through it. When I first wanted to do the show with you, I was say, okay, this is a Red Sox team. They lose 3, they win 3, they lose 3, they win 3, and that's very frustrating about them. But the skid's back on right after he said they took 2 of
Yeah.
Texas, lost the rubber game, looked absolutely horrendous against Toronto once again. It was Boston went 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position, which again, I can't take this team anymore. That type of frustration totally took the loss. Started up 2 home runs after a month without allowing 1. Duran, one bright spot, his solo home run, his 12th of the year. It was the only lone run. The MLB.com's headline for that one: Bats can't break through in latest bout of frustration, and that's putting it mildly. That's putting it mildly. So tonight they face Max Scherzer, 41-year-old Max Scherzer, who has a 10.23 ERA in 6 starts. Yoshida is 4 for 6 off with a home run off of him in his career, and then they're off to Seattle and then Colorado. Yeah, just frustrating team. You want some good news though? Let's go back to Roman Anthony. Right after not understanding whether or not how difficult this injury was going to be, as they had come out and talked and said it's very rare for that ligament to be torn in the pinky. There's not any history on how long it's going to take. So good news for once, Sean. Anthony's 6-week follow-up MRI on the finger came back clean and showed proper healing, though he's not been cleared to swing yet. And Crochet was cleared for light throwing of weighted plylo balls, not yet baseballs, and said he won't be back until after the All-Star break. Neither return is imminent, but both are trending up. I want to shut them both down, Sean. Sean, when you just shut them both down, I mean, I know you can't with Crochet won't allow you to. And the reason why Crochet won't allow you to is he has that contract where if he misses, what is it, 120 days? You remember what it is?
Not the specific clause off the top of my head,
Oh, here it
but
is. His 6-year, 170 million extension has an injury clause. If he spends 120 consecutive days on the injury list for a left arm injury, the 2031 player option converts to a fully guaranteed year and his opt-out disappears. It's a team-friendly outcome. So Garrett Crochet is not going to want to be shut down because it's going to impact him.
yeah.
So rule that out. Crochet will be back at any point. But what about Anthony? What do you want to do with Anthony, Sean? Do you want to shut him down for the year at some point? Do you think it would benefit him to come back?
I wouldn't shut him down if he's fully cleared personally. I just think when you're that young, like the more reps, the better. You know, I'll say this, like if they were in the thick of like a wild card race and he was like 85, 90% and they were like, oh, he could probably play, like, let's just get him back out there. Like if that I would not want to do. I'd want to make sure he's like truly 100% healthy. But assuming that's the case, then I would probably want him to come back just because, again, I just want him to get reps. And also, like, he played, we just talked about it, but like, he's been so bad this year when he did play that, like, I want him to try to build some of that confidence back up. And the stakes will be lower if they're already out of it, especially if they sell. It'll be kind of just like, let's throw the young guys into the fire and see what they can do. So I wouldn't do that. I'd actually be more inclined to shut Crochet down just because with pitchers and these long-term injuries, like you don't really want to mess around with that. He's also a little older. He also pitched career high in inning pitch last year, like by a long shot.
And he has a Tommy John surgery under his belt too, which really worries me.
Exactly. So like him, I hear you on the, like, he's not going to allow it, but Crochet, on the other hand, I would honestly be cool with shutting down, even if he was healthy towards the end of the year. But Anthony, I don't know. He's young enough. And like, as a position player, there's just generally inherently less risk of, you know, doing anything serious unless you keep getting unlucky. Back to the question of maybe he's just injury prone, whatever. But like, I'd want him to kind of work through some of that stuff. Like we saw what Garrett Crochet is last year. I'm not worried about him like trying to prove himself or like go out there and build confidence. Like he was a top 3 pitcher in baseball undisputedly last season. And to honestly, I mean, I don't know what was wrong with him to start the season. Maybe it does boil down to just like too much mileage from last year. But I'd rather him just kind of get fresh and come back next year and do what he did versus Anthony. I think he's still got proving to do. So I kind of want to give him the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, so I agree with you. If Anthony's 100%, bring him back at 100%, but you're bringing back him at 100% to get his confidence up. You're not bringing him back because you're trying to win a division or make the playoffs. I agree with you, just not be to rush back. I agree with you. Crochet would be the one I'd want to shut down, but it's just not going to happen. For anyone out there wishing the same thing to happen, he's got to be not medically cleared for that to happen, because if they don't let him back, that contract, he's gonna be pissed off. He'll file a grievance with the Players Association. Like, he will not be happy in Boston. I don't blame him. It costs him millions upon millions of dollars. And just to shut him down, like, he's there, he wants to compete. So it's not going to happen. So it sounds like he will come back. It's a lost season for Crochet. It's just a lost season in general. It's a lost season for some guys, and I want to talk about the good of the Red Sox, because there are some good of the Red Sox. My boy, Willson Contreras, he's on an absolute heater, raking 390, 457, 878 OPS in June. So for this month, 5 home runs in 11 games, including a 2 home run night versus Texas. And my other boy, he wasn't my boy, but he's quietly having a very good season under the radar, and I believe he belongs on the All-Star team as a bench utility bench player. Who do you think that is, Sean? Who would you give? Who's the other guy in the Red Sox lineup that's playing very well this year?
Ceddanne.
Ceddanne. right?
Yeah.
Hit a grand slam the other night. I forget what he's at right now. What he's about like two. Let's see if I have the numbers in front of me.
288.
Yep, 7 home runs, 32 RBIs, and he's just gotten better. Promoted to the number 2 hole. His
Yeah.
chase rate went from 42% to 35%. Gold Glove center fielder. A guy that we saw in the years past where he has been very streaky. This is a guy that's put together a consistent, over 2 months now of really good baseball and improving in all those metrics every year. Has gotten better and better and better. Ceddanne's having a great year. Contreras is having a good year, and they're being squandered, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard to be like they're being squandered because it's like the only 2 guys on the whole offensive side of the baseball that are playing well. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you only have 2 guys playing well, then you're not going to be very good. But I hear what you're saying. Like if I told you preseason that Contreras, mid-June was going to have 16 homers, 43 RBIs, a 945 OPS, you would have been like, we got probably first in the division right now. Because, that was like.
Yep, I told you he was going to do that. I had him at 30 home runs this year, 32.
I think you said 27.
I think
I think.
I had him as what's his career high? 25. I said he was going to break his.
It's
career
24. High. I think it's only 24.
Yeah, he's gonna break it.
I'll give you your credit. You were high on him, and I would at this point, unless he gets injured, I would be surprised if he doesn't post that career high in home runs, just given where he's at right now. However, he has gotten injured a lot in the past, so we can't totally rule that out. And that was part of the reason why I went under, is because
Understood.
he's never played 130 games in a season. So we talk about injury prone. That was my threshold. He is injury prone. I know some of that is because the wear and tear of playing catcher, and he's at first now. But even the past few years at first, still has not hit that number. So, but yeah, he's been phenomenal, and everything we could have hoped for. And that trade looks like a home run right now. And he's vastly outperformed a lot of the guys we wanted them to sign or trade for. With Bichette, who hot recently, but dreadful start. Pete Alonso's been just kind of okay, a little below his normal standard there. And even even some of the lower bargaining guys that we were looking for, they've been really, really bad. So, he's looked like the best option there. So I'll give slight credit to Craig there, I suppose, but I still won't. But everything else has been a disaster. So,
I mean, Willson Contreras this year has been better than Alex Bregman was last year, right?
Yeah,
that
so
was
far.
by a lot. Bregman was hurt too, but Willson Contreras has been, and Bregman hasn't had a good year either over in Chicago. But we also nailed that too. I think we both said that Bregman was going to regression. That Bregman we saw after his injury, I thought that was the real Bregman, no power, etc. And we're seeing that in Chicago. But anyways, Contreras, they replaced his bat, Bregman's bat, 100% with a guy better than Bregman. And this team is worse by miles.
Yeah, but
kind of bringing back a lot of the same guys. And you could say, okay, Roman Anthony was hot last year at the end of the year, but they still were able to, Roman didn't play in the playoffs. They still were a better team than with Roman. I think this shows how much bullshit the defensive run saved mentality or strategy is. How else do you what were you gonna say, Sean? You said, yeah,
I was just gonna say that I think you have to recall that the Contreras move and signing Bregman were not mutually exclusive. They traded for Contreras in early December or something like that, and Bregman didn't sign till the close to opening day, spring training. So they were still in on Bregman at that point. So they could have had both. So I don't see much need to do he's been outplayed Bregman, just because guess who Bregman has outplayed? Caleb Durbin, who would be in his spot. So
okay, I guess my point really wasn't about that. It was more about the fact that if you look at the net, right? Red Sox 2025 with Bregman and how they performed. Red Sox 2026, Contreras has replaced Bregman and been better, right? To your point, knowing that Contreras did what he did, and a lot of the same team came back, you would think this team would be in first place, or at least 10 games over 500. They'd be just as good as they were last year, even if they were 500 and not 17 games back of the Yankees right now, right? Yeah. And they haven't been, because this whole defensive run saved Red Sox does not work. You got to score runs to win games. You don't win games 0-0. They've improved their pitching staff. right? They
Mm-hmm.
have 100%. They've
Yeah,
improved their
definitely.
bullpen, right? You got Willson Contreras, who is better than Alex Bregman last year, and they are a worse team, even though they've improved their pitching staff, bullpen, and Contreras is better than Bregman. Because the way that Craig has gone together and put together a team, and this is the idea, like you put together a team, it's not one player, shows just how much bullshit defensive run saved is. There's no other, like that's how I look at it. I don't know what your take is on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been, like I mentioned, outside of Rafaela and Contreras, it's been collective disaster. I mean, everybody's either regressed or not lived up to, the leap expectations that we had hoped for, or, they lost guys. I mean, it sounds silly, but even like Romy Gonzalez did have an 826 OPS last year. Like Rob Refsnyder did have an 838 OPS last year. Like neither of us trusted those guys to be full-time players, but they still gave over 500 plate appearances last year. And they were good when they played. Like, again, let me clarify. I'm not sitting here saying like, man, if we had those two, like we'd be good. But I'm just saying like, those are like the kind of little margin things that helped us overperform last year is more what I'm saying. I don't think that those guys are reliable to repeat that year over year necessarily. But my point is just that like the offense was kind of able to be piecemealed together last year, and they scraped some, bargain players to overperform those guys specifically. Even Carlos Narvaez underratedly been awful this year. He was pretty solidly consistent as a hitter last year. I trusted him going up to the plate, and Duran started off super slow. Story is having disaster season after really like a renaissance year for him, even though not all the advanced metrics are great. I mean, 96 RBIs and 25 homers. Like we need all those, and we're getting none of them from anybody else. So there's just a lot of things that we got last year that we're not getting the same of, and there's nothing there to kind of like try to replicate it or replace it. And, again, Contreras, he can hit his 30 home runs, but it's like we only have 4 guys that even have 4 homers or more on the season. Like that's that's crazy. We're in mid-June, like 4 guys that have even hit 4. And then we've only got 2 that have hit 9 or more. So we're on pace for 120 home run hitter right now, basically. I guess Duran has gotten up there, so 2, but that's about it.
We talked about in the offseason about not falling in love with your prospects. And I'm going to rip Craig on a lot of things. We ripped him on in the offseason too. We kept saying this can't be it. There's this roster construction is terrible. He's got to be making other moves. And I watch on Twitter a lot of times people dissect individual trades that he's made. And I even go back to the even the Steven Matz trade last year, right? And the Steven Matz trade for last year was a very good trade. Who did we get for Matz again? Who was it? Why am I blanking on it?
I don't even totally remember, to be honest with you.
Blaze Jordan, who's actually played very well for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot on Twitter, he's played very well for the Cardinals. My buddy who's a Cardinals fan tweeted me about a stat. I forgot what he had, like triple home run, first player since I forgot who it is that in their call up they did whatever the number might be. It was some impressive stat. And people were talking about, well, the trade last year for Matz was a good trade. They were in the middle of a playoff run. They needed the guy. And I'm saying you got to stop looking at trades that Craig makes as the one-off trade and look at the totality of building a team. Because maybe that trade doesn't need to happen if you go and you were able to acquire a better pitcher, right? You like we saw with the Tibbs trade, for example, the Dodgers were shocked that the Red Sox were willing to give up Tibbs for Dustin May. Like, absolutely, you want Dustin May for Tibbs, go ahead and do that. But, they don't sign Patrick Sandoval. They put that money elsewhere. They look at it cohesively, of a strategic vision of how they want their team to look like and build trades out accordingly. These sort of trades, you could have used Blaze Jordan to get a second baseman or a position where you were weak from a hitting perspective, because they were last year. We talked about it. This team was not a strong offensive team last year. They had a lot of holes that they know they needed to address. So Blaze Jordan could have been used for that. Like, we look at this offseason, Sonny Gray was a luxury, but was not needed. As good as Gray has been, Sonny Gray was not going to make, and we're seeing not make or break that team. You could have used the pitchers, Johan Oviedo, another guy. I don't know if we'll ever see him again. These are guys that that when you think about how he used his assets to acquire players and then build from those players, he built the team. Craig built the team wrong. I go back to what I just said before about not falling in love with your prospects. You trade Marcelo Meyer for Ketel Marte. You trade Connelly Early for Ketel Marte because you fell in love with a small sample size and neither one of them are living up to the billing. And you better believe, Sean, if I ask you right now, Arizona Diamondbacks come knocking and they ask you, Sean, they say to you, I will give you Ketel Marte for Connelly Early and Marcelo Meyer on June 17th. You are saying,
I'm saying you can have Duran too if that's what it takes.
Exactly. And that's I went on a rant. That's my problem with the way Breslow puts teams together and the way that we look at his trades as we grade the individual trade. We don't grade his ability to assemble a team competently.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I'll like, I'm not mad about the Mats trade or anything like that. But the point that like we're saying is all these things still could have happened. Like they could have afforded to re-sign Bregman and still made the Ketel Marte trade. Like because Marte doesn't even make that much and they still made the Contreras trade. Like all these things could happen and they still could have been like a relatively cheap-ish team. And that's the point is like, we get forced into talking about this as like an either or we should have done this or this. And it's like, we could have done all these things, you know what I mean? Like, and there's no reason we couldn't have. And to your point of like Early and Marcelo, like at the top of the pod, we were talking about Marcelo briefly and you were saying like, he's a platoon player, blah, blah, can't hit lefties. You know, he's batting this year versus righties, 208.
Right. Yeah.
He's actually batting 357 versus lefties, but he's only got 15 plate appearances, but 2 of his 3 home runs are against lefties also. Mm-hmm. He has 1 home run and a 208 average against righties this year. Like, again, I was saying if he's not good by next year, like we just might have to call him a bust. Like I cannot overemphasize how just bad he's been. Like he's just bad. He's bad. He's just not an everyday player. And it's not because he can't hit lefties. It's because he can't hit anybody right now. Unfortunately. And then to your point on Early, like he's regressed like crazy. If you look at his Baseball Savant page, it's all blue. You know,
he was never supposed to be though. Like Campbell, completely overplayed where he was supposed to be a 4th or 5th starter. No one ever thought he was going to be this stud.
Mm-hmm.
And he completely played above his cleats so far. And even before he got rocked the other night when he allowed 6 earned runs and 11 hits over 4 2/3, I had posted on Twitter that I had felt like watching Early. I'm like, he's just not going to be the stud we think he's going to be. And that's okay. I think it's rocked. He actually, his numbers this year prior to that game was very similar to Brian Bale last year, where his independent pitching at that time was like 4.5 before he got rocked, which is about a run more. So I'm sorry, guys. I don't think Early is going to be. I think Peyton Tolley is going to be a stud. I don't think Early is going to be one. And you had the ability to sell high, and this is where Craig needs to make. This is why he gets paid millions and we don't. You need to recognize that's a sell high candidate. You have to come back and say and have the chutzpah to say, yeah, I don't think he's going to be anything better than a 4th starter. So let's get rid of him now for max value. And he can't. Doesn't do it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, even early in the year, no pun intended, we were talking about him and like he had a 2.8 ERA or something, but it was the classic, like he couldn't get through the 5th inning. He's walking guys are just living on base and like the run prevention was there. But I mean, he just was not like having enough shutdown innings to be a sustained starter where he's actually going deep in these games and being effective. So, you know, even when the numbers were good, it felt, to your point, like the FIP being high, like that kind of checked out on the eye test. I have memories of many games early in the season where I was like, I mean, he only gave up 1 run, but I feel like they were like bases loaded almost every inning and he's getting out of these jams. Yeah. So it's like,
constantly.
It's not surprising. Yeah, it's not surprising that it eventually like came back the other way and the numbers are regressing. So I still like Early, to be honest with you. Like
Oh, I do too.
I'm not out on him, but to your point, like I think the people that were getting giddy about him as like a number 2 starter probably was always a little unrealistic. And uh, yeah,
No,
Arizona,
I am
it's
too.
like, yeah,
He's a very good pitcher. He'll probably end up as a 3 or 4 and have a very good career. But there were
yeah,
people out there saying, like, you're going to touch Early for Ketel Marte. No way. No way am I making that trade. You right now, those people who said you can't touch Meyer because they fell in love with their prospects, and we know prospects have a very low hit rate, fell in
uh
love with the prospects, and now wishing they could trade those 2 guys for Ketel Marte, wishing they could
yeah,
trade those for those. And you know what? That's where Craig needs to be better than us in the fan base and recognize his talent and do that. But he didn't do it. I don't know why. I don't know
uh
why he didn't do it. Maybe because people were telling him, maybe he's surrounding himself with the wrong people. I don't know. But
yeah,
that was a trade that he needed to make that we wish we could have made right now. Because
yeah,
God, I hate Caleb Durbin, man. I just hate him so much. I hate
yeah,
I hate everything Caleb Durbin. So I wish I'd rather have Meyer at least with a higher upside struggle at third base than deal with both those guys out there. And you know what's funny too, Sean? The guy that we laughed about, IKF, who's not by any means having a good year, is outplaying both those guys, which I would never have thought in a million
he
years
is.
would be the case.
He's significantly outplayed them, and obviously more limited at bats and stuff and starts. But yeah, it's tough. But that's kind of just to put in perspective how bad those two have been. And like to me, they're in the same boat right now. Like I've gotten I'm not saying I'm fully out on Meyer, but like God, I've just been so. I actually think he's the person I've been like most disappointed with this season because, um, I Roman injuries, Crochet injuries, Story injuries. Narvaez not been good. It's actually still insane that Narvaez has 3 RBIs this late in the season.
He's not
But
playing much though. But he's not playing much.
I know, and that's the other thing is he also like he exceeded expectations last year and probably
Oh,
made our
100%.
expectations for this season unrealistic. So I'm not like shocked
Career
at that
year.
kind of regression. Yeah, and like Duran, for as bad as he was to start. And I will say my point of like the reason I want us to keep Duran is because unfortunately we need him is kind of coming to fruition. I mean, 12.
Just
But
blow
I'm
up
just
the
saying
team.
he's got 12 homers. And like without his 12 homers, like we're already like dead last in home runs. I
Just
mean,
trade our
we
guys.
need those.
Just trade our guys to Milwaukee. Let them go become all-stars over there, and we'll take some of their prospects back. Abel, Fisher, hell, give me Pena. I don't care. Hell, if you give me Jesus Made, which will never happen, take them all. Just give them to Milwaukee. Let them go have all-star careers like Kyle Harris, like Quinn Priester,
Yeah.
like everyone we trade over there, and give us back their farm system, and let's call it a year. And I'll see you in 2027. You know what, Sean? The one thing we were wrong about that I really want you to opine on, maybe the last like 15 minutes that we have, is we were both talking about how great Aroldis Chapman was last year. We both thought he was going to
Oh,
regress.
yeah. He's been great.
Oh, amazing. 0.43 ERA, sub
1 run
whip.
all year. I mean, that's all you
14
need
for
to say right
14
there.
and saves, 26 Ks. Opponents are slashing 134. I mean, the guy's been amazing. I forget what was it? He's given up less runs and last year and this year combined, like Brian Bale did in one start, something ridiculous like that.
I believe that. I don't know if that's true, but I believe it.
He's got a 1 year, $13.3 million with a $13 million option for 2027 that vests if he throws 40 plus innings this year. So, there's very much an opportunity that he could, I think you can get a haul for him. Trading him, right? Nightingale
Yeah.
says he's expecting to join his 8th different team. That was set out. He's a top reliever available by far. We watched before when the Yankees traded Chapman to the Cubs and the Cubs won the World Series. They got Gleyber Torres back, which you can say whatever you want about Gleyber Torres, but again, this is why you don't fall in love with your prospects. Good player. And he was a top prospect coming out of the Chicago team. I think he was like a top 15 prospect in all of baseball when they draft. So I think you could get a lot for Chapman. I don't know how much you follow the minor league baseball, right? But A, are you trading him? And who do you want back for him?
I would trade him, and it's a little unfortunate to say. I have always been have had a soft spot for like having a good closer. Like even when we weren't that good a couple years ago, and we had like Kenley Jansen who was like pretty solid. Like I just value that spot because I do think they can be the difference between like 5 to 7 wins if you've got a shutdown closer versus like a revolving door that's really struggles.
2021. That was our issue in
exactly.
21. Even though we
Yeah.
made it to the ALCS, we had
And
terrible
so
bullpen.
there's something comforting about having someone this dominant, and it's like we really only have to be winning. It's like if we're it's an 8-inning game basically. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like if we're winning after 8, we win basically, which is, you know, not a lot of teams can say that. So it is disappointing, but I feel like that's more of an emotional attachment of that to me, where I'm like, my brain is telling me that absolutely the guy's 38 years old and will be by far the best reliever on the market. And, you know, we should be able to get like something. I don't know if we're going to get a quote unquote haul, just in the sense of like the guy is still 38. So like, I do think that like that's got to be baked into the price. It's got like, I guess 1 year of control after this, which should help. But yeah, I think we'd be dumb not to trade him. You know, a good closer on a bad team is just not super useful.
Well, I'm sorry to go back to the well again on the Brewers, but the Brewers have a guy named Pena who plays shortstop. He plays second as well. And like we said, we don't know whether Meyer is going to be any good. He's a top tier prospect. They got Jesus Mate there, who's the number 1 prospect in baseball. This is my prediction. I very much see Chapman going to the Brewers and getting a guy like Pena back. Like I said, I don't know if you follow the minor league system at all, but the Brewers make a ton of sense for a team that is very dangerous. You look at the Brewers team, I really like that team. Got top tier pitching. Mizorowski's amazing.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Right.
He's been insane.
I see him going there. I guess he could go to the Braves. There's a guy named Eric Hartman. I would love Hartman back from the Braves if he went there.
I don't know if they need a reliever though.
I mean, you have Iglesias and him. I mean, just kind of think of it as
they have Roberto Suarez also been awesome.
That's what I meant. Suarez, and
but they still have Iglesias too. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like those
and
3 would
Hill.
just be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I said like it depends how they want to go over how they want to attack a postseason and how they think they're going to beat the Dodgers. Maybe they feel like they're going to have to, you know, guys are pitching every 2 innings and making sure the starters don't go more than, you know, twice to the lineup, and you have that ability. I don't know. I don't know how they want to do it. But again, like you have that opportunity. You've got the Brewers. I can't see a lot of places of him going. I mean, I guess you go to Texas, but Texas doesn't have a ton of good. Their prospect farm isn't that great. I don't think it's traded in the AL East, even though I think a team like the Devil Rays, the Rays could be a great landing spot for him, but it's not going to happen. So I don't know where he goes, right? So I don't know what your thoughts are, if you followed anything, but those are, I see Braves or Brewers.
I mean, I'm not super, super well versed in like individual prospects for other teams so much, but I will say this. I would be targeting a power hitting prospect. That's all I'll tell you. They don't want to sign
Bryce Eldridge, because they could have had Bryce Eldridge last year.
I know. If I don't know if they could have. It seemed like they were.
They could have. They would
just would have had to eat more money.
They would have had to eat more money, and they would have gotten Eldridge back.
Yeah. So I don't have a particular guy I would target, but if they're not going to go out and sign power, if they're not going to trade for a proven power bat, then my one wish for whatever we get back from Chapman would be a guy that hits for power. Like obviously you want to go for like the quote unquote best prospect, but I'd rather take maybe slightly lesser prospect that projects as a 30 home run guy rather than like a middle infielder that's like supposed to be really good, but is more of like an all around guy or a contact guy, just because I'm like, we have enough of those guys. And also I feel like those guys kind of pan out less. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like like the Marcelo Meyer, like I'll say this, they don't bust it more, but I feel like their middle case is like a more mediocre player. You know, I think of like a Dansby Swanson who's like this do it all, you know, shortstop coming up, and I'm like, fine player, but like nowhere near where he was advertised. And of course, sometimes that's not correct, and you get the Bobby Witts of the world, but I don't know.
There's a guy named Brandon Payne who's also for the Brewers, ton of power. Maybe that's the guy they go after. The Brewers have a very good farm system. Fisher, Payne, Pena, Ebel. I can listen. I know him very well.
Yeah, they also have not had a consistent closer this year, so that is a fair point to identify them. Trevor McGill got off to like terrible start this year, and you know, I think he was injured for a little, but they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys with a save this year, which I feel like tells you all you need to know is that they're not
and
really sure.
a deep, like I said, they have a deep farm system with people blocking each other on it. So like I said, you can't have both. And you already have Bryce Terang there, right? Terang is the future second baseman of that team. He's a very good player. So you go shortstop. That's where Made is going to play. I don't know where Pena is going to play. That's why I think that makes a ton of sense for them to make that trade over there. And the Brewers are a very good team. I love their offense. They're a good offensive team. They've got a lot of talent with their starting pitching. I think someone like Chapman, who's relatively cheap and has that option, could be exactly what the Brewers need. And because he's not necessarily a rental, I think you can get a lot for him. When the Yankees trade him, I know he was, the Cubs wanted to win the World Series. They're close. He was a rental. He went right back to the Yankees the next year. So you could have 2 years.
Yes, but how old was he then? He was 28. So I feel like it's a little different. It's been a decade of wear and tear.
He's the best. He's the best he's ever been, though. He's better the past 2 years.
I understand.
Than he was.
I'm just saying that like I don't expect him to quote like fall off a cliff, but I'm just saying like if that probably will happen at some point, and if it happened even like next week, I don't think either of us would be like, oh my God, I'm shocked. We thought there'd be regression like just coming into the year in general. So I'm not discounting what you're saying. I mean, he's been spectacular, the best of his career. I mean, just the past 2 years combined. But a 38-year-old's a 38-year-old. So I just feel like there is that has to be baked into the price. Like I just don't think we're going to get a top 15 prospect in baseball for a 38-year-old reliever.
I agree. We're not getting Jesus Made, but Pena is very much, I think, on the could be possible. A guy like Fisher could be possible. They're more towards the back end of the top 100, but I really think that's like, Made's never going to happen.
Luis Pena is ranked 16 on MLB prospect.
That's outside of 15.
Okay.
That's 16. But where is he going to, something's going to have to give. They're going to have to put him somewhere. He can't, where's he going to play?
I understand, but that's a good problem to have. And they don't have to worry about it quite yet. So I don't know. I mean,
I want him. That's what I want. Chapman, Duran for Pena. There you go. Be great for the Brewers. Would love that. I think so.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's do 10 more minutes. I want to give you some sound bites for me. I don't have them actually ready to play, but they're from Sam Kennedy. I want your reaction to them because I really liked your reaction.
Okay.
On the Cora firing. This one was on WEEI on 6/11. If things don't change dramatically here over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have to pivot from our initial planning and initial expectations. And then he said, give you another one. Embarrassing, unacceptable, maddening, frustrating, whatever word you want to use. That's Kennedy in the season. And then he said, I don't remember a period really feeling it as visceral as we feel right now, 25 years in the organization. A change there, just to be clear, it's not even on the table. That's Kennedy, and whether Breslow is getting fired, which really pissed me off. I hope that's not true. And then finally, that's good enough. What are your takes on the actually one other one from him too, which I love because that Boston Sports, NBC Sports writer got ripped on saying the Red Sox hide injuries. A sprain is a tear. I apologize for my mistake there. Kennedy walking back his Roman Anthony injury claim. I hate Sam Kennedy too. Sam Kennedy is one of the biggest snakes I've ever, one of the most disingenuous people I've ever met in my life. I cannot stand when he talks. He just comes off as feeling so fake. But those 4 quotes I gave you, how does it make you feel? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I'm glad that he has such a outward anger towards the season is gone, but I also am like, okay, like do something about it then. I don't it's just words to me. I'm not even sitting here saying like, oh, fire Craig. Like, to be honest, whatever. What's that going to do?
He's
whether
he's the
we fire
worst
Craig,
GM in baseball. I'm calling him
but
GM.
whether we fire him now or in the off season, it's not really any different. We're not going to hire anybody we're not going to hire anyone mid season.
You're being logical.
We're probably just we're going to have an interim that's going to probably just do all the same things Craig would have done through the rest of the season until we hire in the off season. So I don't really care if he gets fired now or in the off season. I would like him to get fired probably, but that's a different discussion. But in terms of right now, again, I don't know what that's going to do. It's the same thing with Cora. It's like, even though I like Cora, so it's different, but I'm just saying like firing Cora, that was never going to be some big like change in the season,
which is now proving true. I mean, look at the record.
But that was I know, and it was obvious at the time is the point. So, But yeah, I don't know. I'm like, all right, then what were your expectations for the win? So you're going to pivot from your
What does that
initial
mean?
planning. Yeah, what does that mean? What are you pivoting to? Does that mean you're going to sell? Does that mean
Hope so.
you're gonna take on more money because you realize that your strategy of trying to not take on a lot of money didn't work? Like, I don't know. There were reports coming out of like they were trying to big fish hunt for a trade and willing to take money on. I don't know exactly what that meant or who that was supposed to be. There was rumors like a long time ago about, Mike Trout or something like that, which like at this point I'm like, I don't even know why we would do that, but just because we're too bad. We're in too
Right.
deep. Like it doesn't matter at this point. There's
Yeah,
nobody we
Trout's
could
not
add.
turned this team around.
No, unless we did a massive overhaul, like where we got 3 impact batters and then like prayed that, we can get a little lucky, then it's just we're too deep in this. I just don't think it's happening regardless of any move that we make. So yeah, I think selling has to be the move, and that's probably what he was alluding to. But I don't know. Again,
I hope
I
that's what
don't.
it is.
I do too, and I don't really care for anything he says until they like do something about it. Because
Yeah,
like
because he's
him
so
and Craig
disingenuous.
and all the guys in the front office, like their actions and words have been very contradictory for like multiple years now.
One of the early pods that we had, I brought it up. I brought up a Ted Williams analogy where Williams was a great player but a terrible head coach because he disregarded pitchers, called them some of the stupidest people in the world. He was a hitting first mentality coach. Breslow, as we said, was a pitcher by trade. And it's 100% true. I'm not even going to say like it is. He's 100% very much focused on pitching. He eats, breathes, sleeps pitching. And I feel like he's got no pulse, feel, or understanding how to evaluate hitting talent. But Sean, give me one trade that he has done that has brought back a impact bat, right? The Bregman one, the Contreras one's a fair one. That's good, right? But the majority of his trades around the trades that he makes, the free agent signings that he makes is pitching first. He had to be convinced on Bregman. He didn't even want Bregman. That was Cora who brought him in. Contreras was going because he had to. I have no faith this guy is able to make a suave or a trade that's going to bring in a impact bat. I don't think he can evaluate hitting.
Yeah, I mean it's fair. I don't have much of an answer for you on that. There's some people they brought in. He's been a margin guy and then made a few big moves on the pitching side, and I'll give him a little bit of credit for the original Bregman signing, but like he kind of loses all that credit by letting him walk and giving him all the opt outs and all that stuff, and like 1 year rental. I'm just not. You just don't get that much credit for that. For all the shit we would give Chaim Bloom, for example, like Kyle Schwarber as a midseason ad, that's about as good as it gets. You know what I mean? Like he did make some good moves that like when they were in the race, they got the best bat on the market. And now look how good Schwarber is. And we obviously wish we could have had him beyond that season, but that's a different discussion. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much of a rebuttal.
We ripped Chaim for his drafting. He always drafted position players, no pitching. And now Craig's on the opposite. He drafted just pitching and no position players, which is fine. Actually, to be honest with you, their farm system is looking better and better. They have some really good guys that have a ton of talent down there. If this team was a playoff contending team or top of the AL East, there's a lot they could go and do. They've got guys like Justin Gonzalez, Jansen. They've got a lot of really good players down there. Sedzabal, Ramos. There's a lot of guys that teams would want. They're going to have a lot of guys in the top 100 of the next couple of years. I'm really curious to see if Craig at this year's draft pivots to being able to find a bat in there and try to find a power bat. I mean, I don't know where Tristan Casas is right now. We should put out an APB on Tristan Casas, or I would love if people just tweeted me pictures of Tristan Casas so we can see where the hell that guy is. But But like I said, I have no faith that Craig has the competency to go out there and ever be able to assemble a team that has a controllable bat for the near future that they acquire that's not drafted. So I don't know. He hasn't done it yet once.
Yeah, and that's the terrifying part is like we were just saying earlier. Like think about next season. There's just no reason next season will be better than this year. Like
the free agent market's terrible. Go look at it. There's no one out there. You're going to have to make a trade.
I believe it. That's what I'm saying. And so it's like, and then I don't know. I mean, people just aren't really like trading good bats on the market like that anymore. I feel like pitchers are more traded and hitters are more signed. I don't have any numbers to back that up, but that's just kind of how I feel. Where it's like
Well,
a
I
pitcher is more
did.
gettable.
No, it's offense is down this year, so a record number. So offense, pitching's up. So everyone's got. If you look at the pitching numbers, I don't have them in front of me, and maybe for next pile I'll bring them up for you. We can discuss it. But pitching's at an all-time high right now. Some of the lowest ERAs, team ERAs. I don't forget how long, and runs being scored for the hitting side is down significantly. So that's part of the reason everyone wants bats because no one has them. Like look at
Yeah.
the offseason acquisitions. Bichette struggled. Gino struggled. They've all struggled. Like Bregman, there has not been. If you look at all those, the best move was, and this I go back to the Blaze Jordan where I would use them. The best, I think, one of the best bat acquisitions this offseason was the Pirates getting Brandon Lau.
Yeah.
What was Lau? 15 home runs, 16 home runs.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, imagine
no,
we
but
could have used him.
that's kind of what I'm saying though, is because offense is down, no one wants to trade good bats. So the only way to get them is to sign them when they're free agents. That's kind of what I was getting at. Whereas like people are more willing to trade pitchers because pitchers have like performed better and they kind of have a shorter shelf life where, you're not confident 2-3 years from now a guy's going to be as good as he is now just because of like the velocity and, all the pressure putting on people's arms and stuff. So my point was just to say that like, if we have to trade for a bat, that makes it even harder because there's, every other team that wants a bat is also trading for the guy. And then you're bidding against, all the top teams that need a bat. And it just becomes difficult. And then, we haven't shown the propensity to like be willing to go above and beyond in deals like that. And except for everyone we do pull off, it feels like we majorly overpaid and then we can never get the ones at decent prices. So I don't know. I get worried because
what's the pivot then?
Because we're like I say all that to say that like I think we're like 3 guys away, not 1 guy away, not 2 guys away, and so that's the problem. Is like it's really hard to just go get 3 guys in one off season and then boom, okay, cool, all our problems are solved. It's not going to happen. So even if we add 1 guy, even if we go out and add like a really good impact bat for next year, like we're still probably not good enough to be like super relevant. You know what I mean? Unless we're talking like a Judge level, Ohtani level type bat. Yeah, like that, but that's probably not happening. But if we get just like a tier 2 really good hitter, like it's just not going to be enough.
Right. So the pivot, Sean, is that to your point, we have a weak free agent class in 2027. We're probably going to have hold it out. There'll be a holdout as well. And we're a few bats away. So I don't see anything occurring as well. And we have not seen his ability to trade. So the pivot needs to be that this team unloads what I call dead weight or guys that don't fit this organization that are at their high, because some of those guys are still at their high, like Chapman, and you just get a bunch of prospects. And then you start with a young team with a couple of veterans and you see what happens, knowing that you're probably not going to be out of a good team in 2027. You get a guy like Pena, right? And you hope that a couple of those guys and hope that maybe 1 or 2 of them pan out, because I don't know what else you're going to do.
Yeah.
You can't run this team again out.
No, I agree. That probably is the thing to do, but then it's just really frustrating because they
went last year. Yeah.
Well, I'm not even gonna say that. I don't think we were that close. I think we overperformed last year.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I just think we overperformed. Like I don't know. In retrospect, we relied on a lot of guys that I don't know how much of it is going to be replicated. But
you called it with Trevor Story. We said that about Story, right?
I mean, look at Bayo and Giolito. Giolito was basically almost out of the league, and Bayo is in the minors. Those are our only
he's a starter.
2 reliable starters other than Crochet.
He's a starter in the minors.
Exactly. No, I just mean that like their whole pitch to fans was, I know we haven't been that competitive recently, but now we are like, we're going to do it. We're going to go all in. And so for that to be a 1 year, like go for it. And then like, now we're back to being bad. It's like a really tough sell where it's like, we thought we were entering a new like golden era of like the Red Sox are going to be competitive and one of the 5 to 10 best teams in the next 3 to 5 years every year. And suddenly we're like rebuilding again. It's just like a really sad turn of events where
I feel like we're like Russia. I don't know if you know the history of Russia, but Russia's like that.
but it's like I don't disagree that it's the right move probably based on where we are, but it's just so you know, like demoralizing that it had to come to that so quickly. But I do think it probably is the right move because I don't really know what the other move is.
You want to? I want to finish this podcast something that this is. I'm really curious how you judge Red Sox teams of how they're good or not. You know, I always judge a Red Sox team whether or not they're going to be a good team, and I feel like it's come to fruition almost every year that I look at this. Is that I call it the comeback DNA. And when I see like those Red Sox team in 2021, when I know 2018, 2013, 7 and 4, some other good years we had too. The ways that I knew that this team was a good team that was going to be one of the top teams in baseball is if they came back down 3 runs, down 4 runs, go into the 7th inning, crawl their way back, win the game. That's always how I've judged good Red Sox teams. Do they have that comeback DNA? Is this a team that you know that they are going to fight the whole way through and have a shot to win and win games? I think of the Baltimore game for them was a Mother's Day miracle, whatever that was, or the Patriots Day miracle. I remember watching that game too. They're down like 11 runs and they found their way to come back. And I think they made it either to they made the World Series that year. Anyways, this team is 0 for 28 when trailing by 3+ runs in a game. And I think up to 0-36 or 0-38 when trailing after the 8th inning. It's a team that can't come back. They've got no fight in them to come back. This is a team after last night when they went down 3-0. I'm like, the game's over. So they got no comeback in them. And so I don't know what you feel about it, but comeback DNA is by far the most important thing. And winning one-run games, winning the one-run games are the two most important things that I think a championship team has. Last year, they also struggled with that too. They were terrible in one-run games. We saw that because they couldn't put the bat and the ball in extra innings. That's my biggest tell of why this team is not a good team. And I'm ready to sell right now. And I can't believe there's any Red Sox fan out there that believes this team has a shot to even do anything.
Yeah, I mean
Do you have like Sean? Is there something you look for? Like, is something you look for to say? This is a good team?
I don't have like a specific thing, but I have a similar sentiment to like what you're saying, where it's kind of like you can kind of just tell. Like there's no like tangible way for me to describe that, but it's like when you see it, like where, like to your point, like 2013, like they had a million walk-offs that year. In 2018, they did have all these comebacks where it was just like we never felt like we were out of a game or anything like that. Even 2021, there was like a little bit of that magic, especially after they hit Schwarber and like like the team felt a little revitalized, and like there was a little bit of that last year. We did have like a lot of walk-offs last year.
Ceddanne,
I know we did struggle.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, there's no like memorable moments from this year. Like that's another thing. Like literally not one, which is like crazy. Like you normally point to like 2018. There's that Mookie at bat where it's like super long at bat of 10+ pitches, and then he hits the grand slam, goes crazy. Like I'll always remember that moment because like that was just a really awesome point in the season. And like I've even got like weird memories of like Stephen Drew walk-offs back in 2013 and all this stuff. And like I don't know, I don't have a specific stat like year to year like they better be good at this, but it's just like there's no juice with the team at all. So it's like
last year, to your point, Ceddanne, and then remember the Bregman wall. It was a wall ball at Fenway Park early in the season. I forget what it was, but again, none of that. Where we don't have any of that. We're 0-28 when trailing by 3+ runs this season, and 0 for either 36 or 38 at this point when trailing after the 8th inning. There is absolutely none of that. There's none of it. None. Just none.
Even the games we win, it's just like a boring old classic baseball game. Like there's not even like any excitement to it because it's like there was like to your point, there was no comeback, there was no late game lead change. Like it's like the only way we can do it is if our starter gives up like 1 run in 6 innings, and then the bullpen takes care of business, and then we scrap together like 3 runs or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
We went 3-1. We have 3-1 by the 6th inning. Like, okay, now the bullpen's gonna hold on till we got this. That's the only way. I mean, that's just it's terrible. It's terrible baseball. I can't. And I like a good pitching duel. I like good pitching duels. I do, but this isn't good pitching duels. This is just garbage.
Yeah, and it's this. I mean, this is true for any sport, not just baseball, but like just winning different ways. You have to be able to like when you hit adversity, like embrace that adversity and figure out ways to get it done. Where it's like this team has one way to win, like we're saying, there's one formula, and that's it. And it's like I don't know. It just You got to be able to win close 1-run, low-scoring games. You got to be able to win a shootout in like a 11-10 game. You got to be able to win a game you go down 6-1 in. You got to be able to win a game.
20,
you got to be able to
26
win
points. What was it, 26, 29?
29.
29.
No, you got to be able to win the game where you were up 6-1, the other team goes up 7-6, and then you punch back late. You know, like all those types of things. Like they don't do any of that, and they haven't done any of that. And it's funny because we're saying they haven't done any of that. They literally have not done any of that. Like not
one time.
once.
Not one time.
Yeah, it's not even like we're exaggerating.
We're not over exaggerating. They've never done it. They have yet to had a game where it's a signature win. But to your point, signature win. This is when the team was arrived. This is when we knew the team was going to be good. I always marked comeback ones. I always feel like that's the one where I always remember like they were down, and this is a team that you can punch them in the mouth and they'll come back.
You could argue the signature win was the day Cora got fired.
You're not wrong.
16-1 or whatever it was.
You're probably right. It's the best one. Like I said, and people said, "Oh, Chad Tracy, it's a new era. Maybe Cora was the issue." And I'm like, look, I thought Cora needed to go too. I did think Cora needed to go, but we said it as well. Cora needed to go. If Cora was going to go, Bailey and company need to go too. This whole organization needs to wash themselves of everything. The same way we had to do with Francona, which was terrible when Francona had to leave. But it's all like, I hope Kennedy and them realize everyone, clear house, clear it. Maybe keep the guys that are doing the scouting. But outside of them, the rest of this organization's got to go. It's got to go.
Yeah.
All of them. All right, Sean. That's the end of our episode for tonight. For those that are listening out there, appreciate you guys. Me and Sean will make sure that we are back more often, publishing more often. We talked about it. Ed Hand, the lovable Ed Hand, has actually put us in some podcasting tournament that will be up against some of the heavyweight hitters, which is great for us. Love that Ed appreciates us. Love that you guys appreciate us. Please like and subscribe where you are. Sean, any last thoughts before we close and wrap and I end this call and this pod?
No, I think we covered it all. I'm gonna start ranting if we talk anymore.
You know what we should do next time, Sean? We'll see. I actually would love to go through. Maybe we'll prepare for it and talk about guys that I'll give you a list of guys, and you're gonna tell me if we're gonna trade them or keep them, and what you want back for them.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, guys. Good night. See you guys in a week or two.